Ladies and gentlemen, what we need is dynamic, creative leadership in our schools today. That's what we need. What we don't need is static leadership. We don't need to be static, and we definitely don't need that in our leaders. I want to discuss that with you today. When you think about leaders, I'm not just talking about in position only. There are leaders inside the classroom today. Inside the classroom and out, of course. But you do not need to have a position to lead. And so when we talk about static leadership, we're talking about from all angles. We do not want to be still in the leadership. We want to move forward. We want to be dynamic. We want to be able to move and be nimble. We want to be really creative because we're living in a time where creativity is going to be your superpower. And we're talking about here in the fourth industrial revolution, where, guys, I'm sure you've seen it. ChatGPT, AI, people are doing an arms race in order to create the smartest, biggest artificial brain out here. We're living in an accelerated time, in a time to where if you don't catch it, you could miss it. And that's what we don't want for students, but we also don't want that for ourselves. When we talk about static leadership versus a dynamic and creative leadership, we want to dive into what does that even look like today. It's very important that we're navigating the change in education. When we're talking about change, that's going to be the thing that's going to be the wedge in our through line to innovation. Change is a great thing, but it's also a thing people dread and want to stay away from. People love to keep things the same. And so when we're talking about the same, there's a time for everything, right? There's a time, right? There's a time to stay the same. There's a time to stay static. But when we're talking about building and going towards the future and striving forward and being a pioneer in education, we can't be static. We've got to be dynamic. We have to be creative in order to get to innovation. It's very important that you adapt to these changes, right? That's what leaders have to do. A lot of times leaders are going to see a roadblock and not want to change. It's crazy because people want change, but they don't want to change. You're going to have to change in order to get to the change. It's that dynamic. And so when we're talking about innovation and we're talking about the future, it's very important because I've talked to students today and I talked to them about how they are right now today preparing for a future that they don't know what it will look like. And it's really interesting because they're preparing for jobs in a workforce that's going to be totally different than what they think it's going to be. They're going to colleges and preparing for jobs that may not exist when they get out. Really important that you're looking and keying in on things right now and trying to see through some things in order to strike on the right path for the future. If you're going one way and the technology is going another, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to get back. And that's what students don't know about right now. And it's very important that we're meeting these demands of the future because we have to be able to prepare students for this future that's uncertain. And if we have an uncertain future and also an uncertain student, an uncertain workforce, we then now have an unclear view of the future. And I know that that's a lot of people's thinking in education today. We don't know what the future is going to bring. We don't know if teachers are going to still be in the classroom once AI takes over. We don't know what the future is going to be, but you know what we can do? We can build it. And you know who's going to help you? Students. Students are going to help you build it. And while you're facilitating it, I've got something free for you. And it's going to help you just facilitate those challenges as you're building the future of education. It's a thought innovation checklist, 10 questions for creative educational leaders. And you could check through it as you're going through on the road to innovation. We need to focus on dynamic, creative leadership in education. We need to focus on preparing leaders for this future that's uncertain. things are going to change. And that is the tailspin. That's the through line that's coming through. And some people are forward and some people aren't. But if you are a forward thinker and you're moving that direction, you definitely need this skill. And it's important that us as educators embrace this. We need to embrace it because adaptability is a close cousin to innovation. If you're a leader and you can't be adaptable, then you may not be ready for the change that's needed in order to grow and to innovate and lead in this new industrial revolution. Guys, thank you for being here. Reach out to me on the road to innovation. Blessed.